Hey everyone, look, cloud platforms can look totally overwhelming on the surface, right? I mean, you log in and you're just staring at hundreds of services, completely confusing documentation, and this endless list of certifications. It's enough to make anyone's head spin. But honestly, once you figure out how to group them all together, the whole thing becomes totally predictable. So, welcome to this explainer. We're going to cut right through all that noise and simplify things with the absolute ultimate Azure Blueprint. Let's get right into it. I want you to think of your cloud infrastructure kind of like building a massive skyscraper. To do that, we're going to move logically through these 6 predictable buckets. We've got foundation and security, compute and container services, storage and database management, networking and DevOps, AI, monitoring and cost, and finally, some real-world hands-on projects. All right, starting with Section 1, Foundation and Security. This is about building the bedrock, and we absolutely have to get this right before we even think about touching a single virtual machine. Okay, so Azure organizes everything in a strict 4-level top-down hierarchy. At the very top, you have management groups. Think of these as your overarching policies. Right below that are subscriptions. Now, pay attention here because this is key. Subscriptions actually act as your billing boundaries. Most teams use them to separate their environments, like keeping dev, test, and prod completely isolated from each other. Inside those, you have your resource groups, and then finally, your actual resources, like your VMs or databases.
Now, lean in for this one, because this is a massive interview secret that catches so many people out. A lot of folks fail because they just assume co-location. Yes, a resource group has a home region assigned to it, but the resources inside that group, they can live absolutely anywhere in the world. So your resource group might be sitting in East US, but the virtual machine inside it could be running all the way over in West Europe. Never assume they have to live in the exact same place.
Right, let's talk identity. Microsoft Entra ID, which, by the way, you might remember as Azure Active Directory, controls exactly who can do what. But the golden rule here, and I cannot stress this enough, never hard-code your connection strings or passwords, ever. Seriously, don't do it. Instead, you're going to use Entra ID for your identity and Azure Key Vault to securely store those secrets. And always follow the principle of least privilege. Just give a system the absolute bare minimum permissions it needs to do its job. Nothing more.
Moving on up to Section 2, Compute and Container Services. Think of these as the heavy lifting engines of our skyscraper, covering everything from your traditional virtual machines all the way to modern, super-fast containers.
Before we go any further, I've got another crucial interview gotcha for you. This one trips up even seasoned pros. If you log into your VM and just hit shut down inside the operating system, guess what? Azure is still going to bill you. You are literally still paying for that hardware allocation. If you actually want to pause the billing, you have to properly deallocate the VM right from the Azure portal or the CLI.
Now in today's cloud, compute almost always means containers. So how do you know what to use? Let's run through a rapid-fire decision tree. If you just need a short-lived, isolated job, go with container instances. There is zero infrastructure to manage. If you're building microservices and need them to scale all the way down to zero and not in use, Container Apps is your best friend. What if you need full enterprise control, like running heavy AI models across thousands of nodes? Then AKS, or Azure Kubernetes Service, is the answer. And for massive, parallel data processing, you're going to want Azure Batch.
Another concept you'll definitely get tested on is serverless compute through Azure Functions. It's awesome. You just write your code, set a trigger, and Azure runs it. But watch out for cold starts. Since you aren't managing a server that's humming along 24/7, the very first time that function gets triggered, it's going to take a few seconds to wake up and warm up. Interviewers absolutely love to ask how you'd handle that initial latency in a real production environment.
All right, up to Section 3, Storage and Database Management. We've got our engines running. Now it's time to build the actual vaults where all our critical application data will live safely and securely.
So, for your unstructured data, we're talking images, videos, backups, you're going to use Blob Storage. But you really need to know its 4 tiers. Hot is for data you're reading and writing constantly. Cool is for infrequent access, but keep in mind it has a 30-day minimum retention period. Cold pushes that retention requirement to 90 days. And then Archive, it's incredibly cheap for long-term storage, but a quick warning, it can literally take up to 15 days just to rehydrate and access that data. Also, if you delete your cool or cold data before that retention period is up, Azure will absolutely slap you with an early deletion penalty. So watch out for that.
Now, what about structured data? Picking your database is actually pretty straightforward. Azure SQL Database is fully managed, meaning zero infrastructure work for you. If you're basically just lifting and shifting an old on-premise SQL server to the cloud and you need perfect compatibility, you want SQL Managed Instance. And then there's Cosmos DB. This is Microsoft's globally distributed NoSQL database, giving you single-digit millisecond response times. It's exactly the kind of powerhouse database that drives modern real-time AI apps, kind of like ChatGPT. But here's a golden architectural rule you've just got to burn into your memory. Every single production application needs a caching layer. You just cannot hammer your primary database on every single user request. It simply won't survive. That's why we bring in Azure Cache for Redis. You put it right in front of your database to hold fast access things like user session data or leaderboards, and it will dramatically speed up your entire application.
Let's hit Section 4, Networking and DevOps. Think of this as the plumbing and the elevators. We need to seamlessly and securely connect this whole skyscraper together.
Load balancing is another one of those highly tested concepts, and no, the options are not interchangeable. Azure Load Balancer operates at layer 4. It's super fast, routing your TCP and UDP traffic, but it has literally no idea what an HTTP request is. Application Gateway, on the flip side, operates at layer 7. It actually understands HTTP and HTTPS. It handles SSL termination, and it even comes with a built-in web application firewall to block malicious attacks right at the door.
And when you're connecting all these resources, security is absolutely everything, and that brings us to private endpoints. A private endpoint basically drops a private IP right into your virtual network. This creates a secure walled garden. It means that when your virtual machine talks to, say, your storage account, all of that traffic stays completely internal. No public endpoints, zero exposure to the scary public internet.
Okay, real talk. You should not be clicking around the Azure portal manually to build all this stuff. You need DevOps automation. So here is your toolkit. Use Azure Bicep for native infrastructure as code, or go with Terraform if your company happens to use multiple different clouds. For automating your actual code deployments, you'll rely on Azure DevOps pipelines, or maybe GitHub Actions if you want repo-native CI/CD. And finally, you'll use Azure Container Registry as your secure, private vault for storing those Docker images before they deploy.
Almost at the top. Section 5, AI, Monitoring and Cost. It is time to install the smart systems, set up the security cameras for observation, and hook up the utility meters so we can actually track what we're spending.
Look, it's no secret that Microsoft is leaning aggressively into AI right now. Azure OpenAI Service gives your enterprise highly secure private access to powerhouse models like GPT-4. Then you have Azure Machine Learning, which is your go-to platform to train and deploy your own custom models from end to end. If you just want pre-built APIs without the hassle of training, Azure AI Services has you covered for things like vision and document processing. And definitely pay attention to Azure AI Foundry. It's the absolute standard right now for building out modern retrieval-augmented generation, or RAG, pipelines.
Of course, you need to know exactly what's happening inside all of these systems. Enter your observability stack. Azure Monitor is going to be your central hub for all those raw infrastructure metrics. Application Insights, that is going to be your absolute best friend when you are desperately trying to troubleshoot why an end user is experiencing a super slow page load. And Microsoft Sentinel acts as your cloud-native security nerve center, constantly analyzing your logs to detect any incoming threats.
Now let's talk money. When you sign up, Azure gives you a $200 free tier credit to play around with for 30 days. But hear me clearly on this. The very first thing you need to do is go straight into the cost management tool and set up your spending alerts immediately. Trust me, you do not want to accidentally leave a massive Kubernetes cluster running over the weekend and completely nuke your budget. Set those alerts.
Finally, Section 6, Hands-on Projects. We've gone over the blueprint, but honestly, just reading the documentation is not going to get you through a real-world cloud interview. We have to move from theory to practice.
So, to help you out, here are 3 progressively challenging portfolio projects that actually prove you understand how all these services interlock. Step 1. Start simple and deploy a secure static website using Blob Storage and the Azure Front Door CDN. Step 2. Containerize an API using Docker, store it in Azure Container Registry, and then deploy it out to an AKS cluster. And Step 3, the holy grail, deploy a full 3-tier e-commerce application. If you can do that, you'll prove you understand exactly how the web, API, and database layers all communicate securely. So, the absolute most crucial takeaway here is getting your hands dirty. You've got the ultimate blueprint now. You know the common pitfalls, and you know how all these puzzle pieces fit together. So my final question for you is,
What are you going to build next? Go grab that free account.